What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Black Anvil Jiu-Jitsu Company. I'm Brandon. I'm a resident black belt. Today we're going to tell a little story about how I came to train at the University of Jiu and how I came to earn my black belt from Saulo and Xande Ribeiro. And yeah, let's get into it. So somewhere in early 2013, probably mid-spring, it was spring, my former partner and I, who co-founded our gym, Home Jiu-Jitsu, together back in 2013, had decided to take over existing Jiu-Jitsu academy. So through a series of conversations with each other, and then conversations with the current owner of that gym, came to terms, and we decided to take over and open what would be Honu Jiu-Jitsu in City Heights in San Diego. So at that time, he was training at the University of Jiu-Jitsu. He was a purple belt under Saulo and Xande, had come up through the U all the way. And I was training at a Carlson Gracie affiliate in East San Diego, who had just left BJ Revolution team and gone and become Carlson Gracie team. So for another story, I was promptly kicked out of my gym when I went to announce that I was going to open my own place. But that's for another story. We talk about that another time, so note down in the comments if you want to hear that story. I'll tell you all about it. But I was kind of in a rock and a hard place. We weren't sure what was going to happen. I was offered all kinds of places to train. Like, the community was really great to me. I basically had my choice. I was a brown belt at the time. I'd been brown belt for about a year by that point. But it just made a lot of sense to go in, and Sean was like, "Hey man, just come meet Saulo and Xande and kind of like see how you like it." And it just makes most sense for us to be together, so we can do what's best for what's going to become our students in our academy. So Saturday comes around, and Sean says, "Hey, we got a meeting with Saulo at the U on Saturday." No problem. So University of Jiu-Jitsu is in Point Loma, or was in Point Loma in San Diego. I lived in Point Loma, so when I lived in San Diego, so I literally was less than a mile from the U. So I meet Sean there, we walk inside together, and I look around, and there are just people everywhere. It was this huge training session. Now that I think about it, I think it was a little bit later in the year, because I think it was closer to like May, because I think a lot of guys were starting to come into town to get ready for the Worlds, and we had guys from all over the world that were at the gym that particular day. So I walk in, and I shake hands, and I meet Saulo. Xande was not there. And he was up in LA at the time, finishing up, living up there. And he said something to me that I'll never forget. I've told this story a couple times on podcasts, and of course at the gym. But I shook his hand. I said, "Nice to meet you." And he shook my hand and said, "Nice to meet you too. Where's your gi?" Because I walked in empty-handed, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know that we were going to train today. I thought that we just had a meeting." And he looked me dead in my eyes, and he's like, "How am I going to get to know you if we don't train? Go get your gi." So, jumped in my car, ran over, got my gi, came back. Training had already started. Got on the mat. I was featherweight at that time, so I was about 150 pounds, soaking wet, brown belt. And we were just doing rounds and rounds and rounds. So I went in, I got called out, I got put in a spot, trained that. I think we were doing 5 or 6 minute rounds. I did that round, and I went to get up, and so I was like, "Stay in." I was like, "Okay, cool." I stayed in the entire time, guys. I was on that mat for a good hour of that training session. And every time I went to move, another guy came up, and I went again, and again, and again, and again. Just training, rolling hard, good, hard, competitive rolls. Nobody's trying to kill me. Everyone's just trying to show me their best jiu-jitsu, and I knew that in that moment I was basically trying out for this team. And the final round was with the big boss, Saulo himself. And I've been front-loaded a little bit about the way Saulo trains with new people. So I went into it with a very specific mindset. Sean and a few other guys had told me that when I roll with Saulo, the important thing to do is not quit. Because he will try to just make you quit rather than submit you with something legitimate. So I remember he pulled guard on me graciously because, he's a pretty monster top player. And I worked to pass. I think he got my hips up and dumped me over, swept me, came to the top, passed my guard pretty fast and came to side control. And in side control, he really proved why we called that position 100 kilos, because he dropped his weight and he gave it to me. He gave me the squeeze that you hear about from that guy to try to get me to quit. He wanted me to tap the pressure, and very early in my jiu-jitsu training, I learned that that is something you just don't do. You understand the difference between what hurts and what's damage, okay? Sometimes it just hurts, but you're not getting damaged. So you just bite down on your mouthpiece and you fucking take it. And that's what I did. I took it. It was rough, guys. I'm not going to lie. I wanted to tap. I felt like my sternum was going to snap inside my chest cavity, and I thought I was going to die. I've torn the intercostal muscle, the muscle between your rib cage, before, and I was definitely like thinking that was going to happen again, just from the amount of pressure he was putting on my sternum. But after, I don't know, 30, 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds of that pressure, he realized I wasn't going to tap, and he put me in the Saulo choke and choked me anyway, and I had to tap. Round ends. Picks me up, he embraces me in one of the warmest embraces I've ever felt from someone who I had just met, and said, "Welcome to the team. You're going to be our secret weapon." So that was my very first interaction with Saulo Ribeiro, multiple-time world champion at multiple weight classes. The information that I learned from him in the years I was able to train at the University of Jiu, which I learned my black belt there, I'm so grateful for that opportunity. When Xande came back from LA and he was on the mat as well, some of those training sessions are just, they're just things that I'm just so grateful to have been in the room, you know, to be on the mat and look around and see Saulo Ribeiro, Xande Ribeiro, Lovato Jr., Lovato Sr., all these guys that were just guys I had seen, you know, over the years winning world titles, and now I'm on the mat with them and I'm learning from them. And a lot of the guys they brought down up from Brazil that, you know, a lot of people never heard of, like Rodrigo Pagani, the Kuru Guard Master, and a few other guys that were smaller. So I got to train with them a lot. Being like on the small side for jiu-jitsu, you know, only being basically a natural lightweight, made for a lot of tough rounds in that place. And I used to just love going there and getting humbled over and over, and then knowing that I can go 100% with my training partners, because that is what is expected of you when you're training hard in that room. So that's a story of me meeting Saulo for the very first time, and a few years later, I would earn my black belt there in 2015. Like I said, this takes place in about 2013. I'd been a brown belt for about a year, so I was a brown belt for about 3.5 years, maybe just a tad more than that. But they made me earn it. They made me earn that belt. They wouldn't let me take any shortcuts. When they found out I was fighting in MMA, they wouldn't promote me. They wanted me to focus on the gi, focus on jiu-jitsu. And in hindsight, I realized they were trying to make me a better teacher. I was teaching gi classes. I was teaching a dozen plus gi classes a week at that time. And I think in their mind, they were like, "Why are you going to fight MMA? You're not an MMA coach. You're a teacher. Like, you have an academy. You're trying to spread our jiu-jitsu, you know, like, don't waste that time." But what they didn't understand is that's something I just really wanted to do. And for me, like, there's a finite amount of time for you to live your life, and there's a finite amount of time to be physically capable to do a lot of things that we do in combat sports, and my window was closing quickly. In fact, for some people, you might have already thought it was closed, but I didn't, and I don't regret it one bit. I love the way my black belt came. I love the way they made me want it. They made me earn it. They made me watch my peers get promoted ahead of me, because they knew I had made a conscious decision to fight MMA instead of training exclusively in the gi. I accepted that. I accepted my responsibility for that, and I just kept on training. So that's how I met Saulo. Thank you guys so much for checking out the company. I really appreciate it. I know that it's a new channel. There's a lot of stuff going on, and you have a lot of options when it comes to this type of content. And thank you so much for checking out Black Anvil Jiu-Jitsu Company. And on Friday's video, we will do a little UFC MMA stuff, and I'm going to explain to you who the best champ has ever been in the UFC. It's not who you think it is. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot.